You ever wake up one morning and find out the only thing standing between you and the chaos of the world is gone, and the only clue you've got is a set of muddy tire tracks and a sense of injustice so sharp it could cut steel? Yeah, that was me. Nick Dalton, age 43, handyman by trade, philosopher by accident, and, apparently, soon-to-be bridge builder, HOA battler, an accidental neighborhood legend. And just to be clear, I never wanted any of this. If you told me years ago I'd end up as Exhibit A in a war over a wooden bridge and suburban control freaks, I'd have laughed you out of my backyard. But that's where my story begins, not with laughter, but with the sound of something breaking. And it wasn't just wood. See, 5 years back, I did what any sane man desperate for peace and a patch of real earth would do. I bought myself a sliver of paradise by Southwood Lake, tucked right outside the grasp of North Point Woods. That model suburb with rows so straight you'd think the trees grew out of spreadsheets. They had rules for everything: mailbox color, lawn height, the volume of your Sunday happiness. Not us. Out here, there were only 5 houses, and not a single one of us gave a damn what you planted or painted, as long as you waved on your way by. Emma and Teresa, retired tech folks, made the place look like a resort. Daryl and Linda, their garden had more flowers than a wedding. Jeff and Mara, all energy. 2 kids, and a golden retriever who shed enough to stuff a mattress. It was the closest thing I'd found to a village. North Point's HOA, though, had a different vision. They wanted our patch. Years ago, they even tried to claim us, waving some natural corridor nonsense. We shut them down, notarized letter and all. But Karen Manning, the HOA president, let's just say if you've ever met a woman who says, "for the good of the community," and makes it sound like a threat, you already know her. Tall, always put together, hair unmoving, eyes that probably saw through walls. She hated us. But for a while, it didn't matter. Until the road started crumbling, and we all realized something had to change. The only way in or out was a stretch of cracked pavement that turned to ice in winter, dust in summer, and misery all year round. There was a solution: build a small bridge over the river to the main road. Trouble was, the riverbank wasn't ours, it was county land, and none of us wanted to start our criminal records at this stage of life. So we did it the right way. 10 months of red tape, hearings, and coffee, and finally permit in hand. County on our side. We were good to go. 3 months later, after arguments about cedar versus oak and a near-death experience with a raccoon, the bridge was up. We called it Southwood Crossing. I carved a sign. Emma insisted on a security camera because it doesn't hurt to have exhibits prepared. She's got that sixth sense for trouble. And then, like clockwork, Karen came sniffing around. There she was, standing at the bridge, arms folded, snapping photos, like she was the sheriff of Mayberry. Beautiful day for a walk. "Karen," I called, as friendly as I could manage. She just scowled. "This structure wasn't here last season." "Yeah, neither were last year's raccoons, Karen. But here we are." She started circling like a vulture, clipboard in hand, dragging 2 guys in HOA compliance team polos, which, spoiler alert, was about as official as a lemonade stand. That's when I realized we weren't dealing with pettiness anymore. We were in for a full-blown suburban war. But here's where things got weird and kind of beautiful. As Karen and her fake inspectors strutted around, a new face showed up. Sarah Mason, reporter for the Riverside Gazette, with a smile that could cut glass. She'd heard rumors about tensions over a bridge, and she wasn't there to be shut down by HOA bluster. "The bridge is on county land, so it's public interest," she told Karen. Watching Karen try to argue that with a journalist was worth the price of all the paperwork. Sarah wrote a piece sharp, balanced, made us look like heroes with hammers, and Karen like the villain in pearls. Karen retaliated with flyers: unauthorized structure, safety at risk, stapled to every tree within shouting distance. Daryl chased a kid off our path with a rake. Emma laughed, but I could tell even she was getting nervous, especially when she caught Karen, late at night, with a headlamp and a soil sample jar, poking around the bridge like she was starring in her own crime drama. And then things really hit the fan. One morning, before sunrise, I stepped outside and something was off. The river was too quiet. I ran to the bridge, well, what used to be the bridge. It was gone. Not broken. Not damaged. Vanished. Splintered planks floated downstream. My carved sign jammed under the bank like a tombstone. Emma arrived in slippers. Silent. Stunned. Mara had slipped in her kitchen and needed an ambulance. The bridge the fast way out was gone. Jeff took the long road. And Mara barely made it in time. That's when it stopped being a feud and turned into something dangerous. Emma checked the cameras. For guys. Reflective vests. Flatbed truck. The works. In and out in 40 minutes. Bridge gone. Debris in the water. One guy kicking the sign for good measure. Company logo, Riverline Contracting. Their paperwork county seal, and all looked official. But the ink was black. Not blue. And the signature? Karen Manning. She didn't even bother with a fake name. That's ego for you. We sent everything to the county. They sent a supervisor. Then an investigator. No demolition permit. No records, just a forged order from an office that hadn't existed in a decade. Sarah's article dropped the next day. Bridge destroyed in unauthorized HOA operation. Woman's health at risk after emergency access removed. It blew up. Everyone had an opinion. Nobody had a solution. Comments called for arrests. The sheriff showed up. The local subreddit turned into a detective squad. Turns out, Karen had used HOA funds. No board vote. Forged documents. And paid Riverline to remove a hazard. Greg Parker. The treasurer, decent guy. If a little tired, spilled the beans to Sarah. Karen did it all herself. Used a fake seal. Paid for phony inspection reports about migratory waterfowl, or whatever. I almost laughed when I heard that almost. The county filed charges. Forgery. Destruction of public infrastructure. Fraudulent use of funds. Court was a circus. Karen's lawyers tried to sell the judge on rogue construction, complete with a PowerPoint about ducks. Our attorney, a 5-foot hurricane named Nain, tore them apart, played the footage, showed the forgeries, called Greg to testify. The jury took 4 hours. Karen, guilty. The HOA, liable. Us, awarded damages. All of it plus interest. Karen got house arrest, a fine, and a lifetime ban from HOA leadership. She spent 6 months painting park benches with an ankle monitor and dodging cameras. The HOA went into state receivership. The new manager held a public audit. Every fine Karen ever wrote got reviewed. Some people from North Point actually thanked us. But the best moment? The county helped us rebuild the bridge. Concrete and steel this time. Wide enough for anything short of a tank. With my new sign, Southwood Crossing, built in trust. Burned by ego. Reborn by justice. People took selfies in front of it. The whole thing became a symbol, not just for us, but for anyone sick of power run wild. Sarah Mason won an award for her reporting. Her articles got picked up statewide. And suddenly, other HOAs started getting uncomfortable questions. People started reading their bylaws. Some dissolved their associations altogether. As for us, we celebrated with a neighborhood cookout. First Saturday of October. No rules. Just ribs. Laughter. And maybe a little too much enhanced iced tea. We made shirts. Mine said, "Not all bridges burn." Emma's, "Smile. You're on camera." The county brought a plaque. The whole night. The new bridge glowed with fairy lights and jazz from Jeff's hidden speakers. And then, like a ghost story with a punchline, Karen showed up. No pearls. No clipboard. Just jeans and a Tupperware pie. She set it down and said, "You were right." Nobody clapped. Teresa handed her a plate and threatened banishment if her pie was bad. For the first time, Karen just smiled. Not the tight-lipped smirk. A real one. Later, little Max asked me if the bridge was magic, because it made people stop fighting. I told him it wasn't the bridge. It was the people who refused to let it stay broken. So what do you think? Was justice really served? Or did the system just get lucky this time? Is control ever worth more than trust? I want to know what you'd have done. Would you have fought? Or just let them win? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your own stories of standing up, getting burned, or building something that lasted. Because out here, We learned something that day: you don't need an HOA to have a real community. You just need people willing to fight for each other, even if it means building or burning a bridge or two along the way.